How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And the Saracens put an absolute beating to Newcastle. And my word, what a day for the Saracens. I don't know if it was from the announcements that the players decided to put that little extra oomph, but by God, they played well. There's so many players. Gonzalez had an absolute bloody... He was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Big games from Earl, an absolute monster, and just so many other players. They cut through Newcastle like it was absolute butter. They made it look easy. And at points, I wondered what team bloody the Saracens were playing up against, because it was truly men versus boys. There was absolutely nothing that Newcastle could do to really keep up with the Saris. They were so powerful. They were so fast. Their play was so quick. And honestly, it probably could have even been more. It was a very late end of the season performance by the Saris. If they would have put in a lot more performances like this early on, kept relatively consistent, I can't expect this from every single game, but the Saris could be sitting a lot higher than fifth. And honestly, with this win, they are pushing very high up. They are. I think there's only a couple points that are separating fifth and third, and then I think there's a big hike to Leicester. But Saris can definitely finish third. Don't get me wrong; they can definitely finish third. If the performances and results go their way, we could even potentially see, the Saracens jump Sale. I don't know about Bristol, but it's a very good sign. A lot of players are playing very well, and this is exactly what the Saracens need. This is something that I always say: if you ever want a club to be performing and be performing at an elite level, it's at the back end of the season, because this is normally where teams start to fray. They normally start to fall off, and points can be made. So if your team is putting in all the work, they really working their backside off, this is where points are made, and sometimes this is where titles are won. In the last couple of games of the season, back end of the season, we've seen the performances that the Saints are putting in. They are now in the finals of the Champions Cup. They are putting in good performances in the Premiership finally. But my word, are the Saracens on fire with this win? And with having so many Lions in their in their team, definitely does help. And I think Maro Itoje definitely did feel reinvigorated with being announced as the Lions captain. That he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna put a bit of input in this as well. I'm banging a try. So big performances. I'm actually really looking forward to the next year already for the Saracens, because the players that they have coming up, the players that are currently in their ranks, it's gonna be brilliant. The Saracens, as always, are a scary team. But with all of these players developing, we're going to see them develop as well through the British and Irish Lions, and then later we are going to see, how they perform for England and so on. So definitely big players, a lot of players that are still developing at an elite level. So it's very nice to see. But you have to take this result with a pinch of salt, because it is up against Newcastle. They aren't exactly the likes of Sale Sharks. They have been having a torrid time, and their defense is about, as leaky as a faucet. So up against different opposition, it could have been a completely different storyline. But what I love to see was that flow. If you watch my channel a lot, you'll find I talk a lot about flow, and this is something that the Saracens had today. They just worked with each other. Their passes just felt smooth. The positions were just flowing in. They knew where they needed to be. They were finding that space. They were breaking down Newcastle, as they needed to be. And they just kept that constant pressure, right? And ultimately, Newcastle broke down because of that pressure, pressure, pressure. From the forwards to the backs, they were on it. They were just there. The passes were going well. Yes, there were a couple astray, but you know that flow, that strength. There was a tactic in mind. There was a system in mind, and they did it to perfection. Right. And I don't know if this goes to Maro Itoje being captain in terms of keeping his players on track, ready to go, but what a performance from the first half to the second in a major lead. Yes, giving up some points here and there, but ultimately, when you're putting 75 points past a team, you're not really going to care about 28 being put past you, honestly. On it. And if they had to have their way, we could have potentially even seen the Sarri side get into the 3-digit scores. So this was a very, very, very impressive performance by the Sarries. I really, really enjoyed watching this game, and like I say, there are certain performances that are able to get people that have never watched the game into rugby. Today was one of those performances. One of those performances where you can get a person that knows absolutely nothing about rugby, get them to watch the game, and that they will be interested. The tackles were hard, the plays were sweet. From the scrums to the lineouts, things just went the Sarri's way. Perfect execution of the game plan. Perfect execution of the game plan. So, guys, who was your man of the match? And I want to know if you think the Sarries can continue on this form. Obviously, until the end of the season, there's not much left. But where can you start seeing the Sarries with a couple improvements be next year? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.